Yes, indeed, we are back in the house. Yeah, and fam, we got to chop it up real quick about something, or shall I say, someone, and that is Mr. Anton Daniels from AntonDaniels.com. Let me get my man up on the screen. I think some of you should be pretty familiar with them already, but there he is right there. So, we're going to talk about something real quick here. Um, I came across this video, it came up in my feed. And shout out to Anton. I rock with him. I mean, I haven't been over here in a while. I know him and the Bag Chasers. They get upset when I'm not over there, but I'm busy, bro. I came through sometime late last year just to shout him out, but I'm doing stuff and I'm in a whole different time zone, so I can't get over there the way I used to. But you know what it is. We all good. But yeah, so we've had some conversations, Anton and I, and yeah, we have a pretty good rapport. We bumped heads here and there, but I used to troll him a little bit as well, talk about his little peanut head and things like that. Have his whole chat laughing at him, but it was all good, clean fun. We didn't mean anything by it. But I do want to point out something that because, like I said, this video came across my feed, and it kind of I kind of resonated with it because a lot of you guys may not have you've never experienced being in the position that he's in, and that is to kind of have a lot of people pulling on you and relying on you. So I'm going to get into this because over here on the Night Riders, as you know, we are the quintessential Sigma men, not to be confused with alpha men, because Anton is an alpha man, right? And to be sure, a sigma is an alpha, but a sigma is an alpha that is outside the hierarchy. So just like if you use the example between the wolf packs, right? You have the leader of the wolf pack, which is the alpha wolf, and you have the lone wolf, which is capable of leading a pack, but through circumstance or personality or whatever, he chooses to hunt alone, right? So this is going to be a teachable moment, and I wanted to share it with you, Night Riders, because it's just like I mentioned during the last Manalytics episode 6, when I was telling you about the reason why Sigmas move the way we move is not because we're not capable of leading or that we've never led. It's because through to our own desire to move at our own pace and not to have all these different people and circumstances dictating what it is that we do, we choose to move the way we do. And Anton is a very good case study for this. And I'm going to take a few moments here and point out some key things that he's saying. And I do want to kind of relay that to you guys so that we can glean some relevant learning from this because it is very important. And yeah, so without any further ado, I'm going to crank up what the brother has to say, and I'm going to give my thoughts. So let's get it. Yeah, let me jump it back and start skipping a little bit. Let's go.
I appreciate one on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Can I vent for a second? Because
yes, you may. Go ahead, bro.
I never really vent about my own personal life. Anytime you see me venting, or anytime you see me going off, or anytime you see me kind of on a rant, is based off of like something that's happening in society. Maybe people running in the Victim Olympics. Maybe people are voting the wrong way. It's a general consensus. And it's really not even venting, it's me being passionate about whatever subject that I'm talking about. But can I vent for a rare moment about my own personal life? And I know that it's going to seem a little bit privileged, and hopefully I'll feel better after I get it out, because it's not really me complaining. It's more or less me getting out my thoughts on camera, things that I usually would 100% keep to myself. But, I'm just driving in and I'm just 100% bothered by it.
Okay, so that's very key what he just said. So I'm gonna break it down to you, and this is maybe the counselor coming out in me, but I want to point something out very important, and that is for a man like Anton, who, like I said, he is an alpha guy. He is the type of guy who likes to just keep his head down, keep working, grinding, back chasing. For him to put himself in a position like this, where he's making himself vulnerable, he's talking about something that he doesn't normally share. It's reached a critical mass. Now, I'm not gonna go so far as to say that he's at his wits' end or he's at the end of his rope or anything, because I think he's pretty much a stable guy. I don't see him as being unhinged or anything like that, but certainly he's reached a point where he no longer can contain the pressures that are being put on him. I would say arbitrarily by some hanger-ons who pretty much are just kind of going along for the ride. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I do want to make it very clear that for a man like Anton to, uh, you know, even though he's not, as he said, necessarily complaining, he just wants to get this off his chest, right? But most of the time, when you have a situation like this where someone is doing this who normally they don't move that way, it's because he's reached a point where it's almost like a cry for help, in the sense that he needs to vent this because it's reached its critical mass. And that's a very important step, guys, because you have to make sure that you have someone in your corner that you could talk to about this. And that's why I've had many night riders, people reach out to me and wants to do counseling and consulting and things like that, because then I understand, and it's always based on them being at that moment where they just need to have that conversation with someone who understands. So I just wanted to point that out because, like he said, this isn't something that he would typically share, but the fact that he is doing so can, that lets you know the severity of what's actually going on. But let's go.
And usually, if I take a nap or something like that, it'll go away and then I go back to living my regular life. But I'm not really encouraged to work right now. And it's not because I don't have great work ethic or I want to do what I do. I love what I do. And I absolutely, you know what I'm saying, am excited every single day in order to come into the office or jump online or create these videos for you guys and give you my thoughts. But really, I'm tired of being used.
And there you have it. That's it right there. That's a very important step to come to the realization of, right? It takes a lot to really get to the point where you realize that the circle that you have around you, they're just there to use you, essentially. I would surmise that most of the people that surround Anton, if he would ever find himself in a situation where he could not provide for them, his circle would get a lot smaller, right? And that's not to say there's probably not some people on his team that have his best interest at heart, but the way you can discern those people is that those are the ones who don't want to necessarily come to you for something. And I'm going to say something that I want you to pay attention to. Um, Compassion is a two-way street, right? Oftentimes, when someone is a provider, when someone's successful, such as Anton, and there are people around him who are not as successful, who are struggling, they're going through certain things, and we all know with the current economy, people who have not positioned themselves in life a certain way to weather these storms, they definitely would be seeking out the likes of Anton to kind of be that safety net, right? So, what I mean by saying that compassion is a two-way street, oftentimes the compassion is always seems to be it's always one directional. It's always the expectation is that someone with the resources is always going to bestow this compassion on the less fortunate, right? However, compassion can also go in the direction of the person who does not have as much insofar as not wanting to further stress someone and being considerate of the fact that even though someone may have more resources than you have to understand that there's many other responsibilities that they have as well. So typically, if someone has your best interest at heart, they're not going to be so quick to come to you with hat in hand looking for you to help them. They're going to try to do it themselves. And typically, you might even have to volunteer because you see them struggling with something, and you might have to be the one to initiate it. But if you see the same usual suspects coming around you with their hand out, typically that's a telltale sign that those are the ones who are kind of using you as a mark. They see you as food, and they don't really give a goddamn about your well-being. And it takes him to have to come out here and start talking like this before people even realize that there's an issue. So I do want you guys over here to realize that you should be successful and you should not make any apologies for that. But you see why I move the way I move. And a lot of people might be wondering why I went to the more of the kind of, I don't want to say anonymous, but because on my other main channel, the Counselor Mr. G channel, I was on cam, I was doing a lot of stuff, showing certain things. I'm not a very flashy type guy anyway. I don't like showing off, although I could show some things here and there, but I'm not that type of guy. Anton, like I said, he's an alpha, so he likes to kind of do the chocolate peacock type thing. He'll show you the Rolly, he'll show you the cars he's buying, and that's okay. I'm not one of these dudes to have a problem with that. Some guys be like, oh, well, he just out there, he's compensating for because he's a short guy or something, whatever. They'll have a problem with the fact that the man wants to show his success because they're insecure. I'm not insecure, so I don't mind a man who likes to flaunt what he has. As I said, I'm more of a introvert. I'm a Sigma. I don't believe in necessarily moving like that, but I can respect somebody who does. But the reason why it's more beneficial, in my estimation, to move the way I'm moving is because of the situations that he's describing right here. So we're going to get a little bit more, and we're going to break it down. Let's go.
And the reason that I say maybe misused is the better word. And the reason that I say that is because when you get pulled on every single day, and it almost seems like at this point, every single hour, at some point you are drained, or you wonder to yourself, or I wonder to myself, where would I be able to turn to for help? I'm blessed. I'm incredibly blessed. And so, I shouldn't even have to preface this by saying this because it almost seems like I'm apologizing for my success. But I'm incredibly blessed. I'm blessed to do what I want to do. I'm blessed to make a
He's scratching a little peanut head, so there's a problem. Let's go.
Crazy amount of money. I've always been relatively successful. I've had some lows in my life where I've went broke, and then I've multiplied it and got it all back times that. But I work my ass off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I work, I grind, I hustle. I miss sleep. Right now I'm on this health journey, and I pray to God that my health catch up to my wealth because I want to be in tip-top shape. And that is my goal. And so I'm throwing everything into that outside of what I'm doing from a professional perspective or, real estate and all of that stuff. But I work, and I'm blessed because I put the work in. Even the word of God says, faith without works is dead. So you can have all of the faith and believe you want to, but if you're not putting pen to pad and grinding and hustling and going to get it to show that you're actually chasing whatever it is that you want, then it doesn't make any sense. But I put everything I have into everything that I do, which ultimately yield the results. And I'm very, very blessed. And I'm thankful. I almost believe that it's a gift that God has blessed me with because everybody don't have it. Everybody don't have the dedication and work ethic and all of that. But then I'm also, because of that, because I'm so visible, because
Yep, so that's it. He mentioned it right there because he's so visible. And again, I'm not knocking the guys who choose to do their content like that. You have guys who use their real name. You get guys who show you everything they own. They'll show you their houses. They'll show you everything, right? And that's pretty much how Anton is, right? Now, again, I don't knock it. It's not my personality. It's not how I move. And there's specific reasons why, and not the least of which are some of the things that he's describing. But that's just his personality. Some people are extroverts. Some people like to flaunt their success, and I don't. Again, I don't have a problem with that. But the downside to that is that once situations get the way they are, and as people um, descend because of not making the right decisions themselves or positioning themselves to weather the storms that are coming, and they're suffering economically, and they see you, and because you've been so visible, again, they see you as food. You're not necessarily, see, you like being at the head of the table, and that's cool. But when times get hard and there's no more food on the table, uh, you're gonna look like the food, right? So that's the thing that I want you guys to take from this as a cautionary tale. But many of you who roll over here with the Night Riders, you are those Sigma guys, so you pretty much know this anyway. But I just feel like moments like this are very important to talk about so that we can kind of reinforce how we move. And again, shout out to Anton. I like him. I think he's a very cool guy. I think he's got a good heart, and in many ways, that's the victim. He's a victim of that, in the sense that there are people who are trying to take advantage of him. Now, he's smart enough to know that that's what's going on, but emotionally, he doesn't want to extricate himself from that situation, because I'm very sure he knows precisely who it is that's making him feel this way. He's just not saying any names, but he knows who it is. These are not just some uh, silhouettes or some nameless entities that are making them feel this way. This might be family members. This might be um, very close friends. It could be anybody, but these are people who have brought him to the point where he has to express his feeling of being used. So we're gonna get a little bit more, and he's got to be going through it because he hasn't combed his beard. I wonder if he's still rocking with Teach Hanley, but anyway, let's continue.
I have the blessings that I have. I get taxed, and I'm not talking about from the federal government. That's an issue of its own. But I get taxed from people, and they pull on you, and they, pay for this, or I'm under duress, or whatever, so on and so forth. Every day, I take out money, and I have to have a significant amount of cash so that I can make sure that I contribute it out to the streets, or I give it to the people as I'm coming in, or this person is homeless. And then,
Yeah, you see what I mean. So he's a very good-hearted person, and I've done that type of stuff too, right? I've given money out to homeless people, given money to missions, definitely took care of family, and friends, a lot of stuff, done a lot of stuff. So, it's unfortunate that people take kindness for weakness, and again, how we roll as Sigmas. So, unlike the alpha, like in his case, he'll sit there and kind of deal with it longer. But us as Sigmas, we kind of detach ourselves from those situations rather quickly. And that's not to say that we don't share the same compassion, because again, a Sigma is just an alpha who's no longer part of a specific hierarchy, right? So we still have those same tendencies. I still know exactly what he's going through, and I'm joking here and there, but I know that this is a serious thing, and if this brother is doing this, he's definitely going through something, and I definitely extend my sympathies to him. And in fact, Anton, I know you're probably going to get this video because he does rock with the channel. He comes through and checks us out. So, and I might even tag him on this. So, Anton, if you want to reach out, I'm a counselor, and you have some things you want to say in confidence, you feel free to email me, bro, and I'll chop it up with you. But I think he has some people around him that he should be able to talk to. But I pretty much just want to make this video not to uh, make light of it, but to show you guys that this is the other side of success, right? And then this also illustrates why I move the way I move, and why I encourage you to move like that as well, because it can get very frustrating when you are in a position like Anton with all of the visibility and success that he has. it's kind of tainted with the fact that there's so many essentially leeches that are around him and it's draining him, like he said. And if he doesn't make some drastic cuts, it's going to continue to grind him down. And if I was in his ear, like I said, if he reaches out and we have this conversation, I'm going to go a lot deeper than what I'll go right now. But I'll tell him to basically, I would give him the opportunity to give me detail in terms of what's actually going on. And I would encourage him to make some very severe cuts. And he probably on his own wouldn't be willing to do it. And he would need someone that's kind of like a personal trainer, just like if someone is trying to lose weight and they themselves may not have the discipline or the heart to do certain things, but that personal trainer is going to be on you saying this is what you need to do and making sure that you see it through. That's what I would be to him in his corner because that's what he needs. Because this right here is just a kind of a snapshot. This isn't necessarily the depth of what he's going through. This is what he's sharing. And you have to understand that it's normally many times worse by the time someone gets to this point right here. So we're going to get a little bit more of what the brother has to say, and then I'm going to get my closing thoughts. Well, let's go.
People that you don't know, or this person is sick and medical bill, and oh my God, I'm going homeless, I'm getting evicted, or this person died, and all of this stuff. And in a lot of ways, I know that probably 40 to 50% of the time, it's a possibility that I'm being used, meaning that somebody is finessing me.
Exactly. See, that's what I said earlier. See, Anton is no dummy. He's very intelligent. So what's the issue? The issue isn't that he's being used and he's just being ignorant or he doesn't know because he's goofy or someone's just outsmarting him. No, that's not the issue. The issue is his heart. And one of the more insidious things about the so-called black community is that there's been this switch of this finesse culture where you think that just because someone helps you, I'm talking about for the people to whom it applies, people who are users, they get it twisted and they make it seem like they're getting over on someone and they're outsmarting someone. Meanwhile, you see what they're doing, because I've been in those situations too where it may be someone close to you or whatever, and because you care about them, they're taking that as an occasion to use you, but in their mind, they're thinking they're getting over on you, and that's this degenerate mentality that a lot of black people unfortunately have these days, where someone with a good heart is seen as a mark as opposed to somebody who's a good person who should be celebrated, right? And you should have compassion on, because like I said earlier, compassion is a two-way street. It's not just one directional. Just because I have resources, I have to bestow compassion on you to share what I've worked so hard to get. You should be compassionate to understand that if someone has resources, they have many responsibilities and there are other priorities that they have for themselves. And you, as a independent adult, should be on top of your business to the point where someone who can bail you out of your issues as a last resort. That's not like as he's describing it. Every time you look up, someone's getting evicted, someone's doing this, someone's doing that. Listen, that's just life. People just gonna have to get those lumps. Even if someone is in their life that can bail them out, sometimes you gotta stand on your own 2 feet, right? Most of the time as an adult. So he understands that, but at the same time, he has such a soft heart, which people like to take advantage of, which is unfortunate. And I think that's a sign of a very degenerate mindset of a people, that you would take someone just because they have a little bit more than you, and because they are kind-hearted, you're going to take that as an opportunity to call yourself finessing them. But in actuality, they know what you're doing, but they're just allowing it to happen because they care about you, and that's the situation. But let's get some more.
And because I have a kind heart, a giving heart, a tender heart, I fund people's businesses and all of this other type of stuff. And then you get the hate, on the flip side from people that's not aware, because they say that, you're not supposed to advertise or talk about the things that you do for other people and all of that stuff. So you can't even feel great on that front. And then they say, oh, okay, you're supposed to feel good about helping other people. But I've been doing it so much for so long. I've dedicated literally millions of dollars towards helping other people. and buying people homes and housing people and all of this other stuff, right? Then at some point you think to yourself, because people mostly contact you either when they under duress or they looking to finesse you, and you think to yourself, well, if I'm down and out, right? Let's say I'm struggling or life hits me or something happens or whatever, so on and so forth. Who can I call? You know what I'm saying? Who?
Exactly. See, that's why your circle should be people that can help you. Right now, that's not to say that everybody in your circle has to be as successful or more successful than you. I'm not saying that. That's not even practical. But when it comes down to it, as a percentage, when I mean your circle, I mean people that you really are rocking with, right? And that rock with you. They should be able to help you. You shouldn't have a bunch of leeches around you that you can never depend on them. And like he's asking the question, who can he depend on? So apparently he doesn't have that within his circle. There's no one that he can rely on that if something happens in his situation that they can do for him what he's been doing for them. And that's a bad look. And again, at some point he's going to have to come to the realization that he's going to have to trim the fat. And it is what it is. So I would give him a methodology on how to do that because I've had to do it. Whether it be family, whether it be close friends. I've been there, done that. And I think unless you have the emotional capacity um, to do it, it'll be very devastating. And I'm not sure if Anton is there yet. Um, he would need to get some coaching in order to do it because he's obviously the type of guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. And again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. However, in this environment, dealing with the sharks and the piranhas that you have to deal with, they just gonna see you as food. They don't give a damn about how things make you feel. They just want to get what they gonna get. That's the only thing they're concerned about. So, and there's a certain way you have to deal with people like that. And Anton, I don't think he's really equipped to do the hard inventory and the hard trimming of the fat that needs to happen. So let's get a little bit more before we wrap up.
Who can I tap into and say, hey man, can you send me this? Or hey, can you house me? Or hey, can you save me from this situation? Because I can't. And that's one of the reasons why I'm driven so hard, is because I never want to be dependent on somebody else, or never want to call on somebody to save me from my situation or from my ills or my woes or my decisions.
Right, because he has integrity, right? Because that's how I am. I hate depending on people for anything, right? However, if you're in that situation, at least you could have the peace of mind knowing that someone would have your back. And it's very debilitating, and that's the reason why he's even making this video. Once he comes to the realization that it's just a bunch of people taking, and at no point can he rely on that, even though his integrity and his honor as a man will not even allow him to want to be in that situation. There is a certain level of psychological comfort that comes with the fact that you feel like there's people that have your back, right? Um, and again, I want you guys to take from this and understand that once you excel, because that's one of the things that we encourage over here, that we teach, that we promote, is making sure that you become successful. But the other side of it is making sure that you have a good circle around you and that you're not being looked at as an opportunity for someone else's failure, because they're just going to, because what it does is enables people. And I think Anton's smart enough to know that as well, that he's actually doing more harm than good in the long run. Because if you're just around as this big old safety net for every damn body, then that's not an incentive for them to excel. That's an incentive. That's actually uh, giving them the okay to fail. Because you're like, let me tell you something, Anton. Because again, I know he's going to get this video. Anton, for all of your conservative rhetoric and for all of your in terms of wanting to see smaller government, to want people to not live off of handouts and all that, you're pretty much conservative. I mean, you've been on Fox News, for goodness sake. Anton, you are that which you despise. You are big government. You are that guy who people are you're the one supporting welfare queens, bro. And I know you probably never had nobody tell you this, but you are the thing that you despise in the sense of the welfare state. You are a miniature version of big government. You are the last resort for people who are failed, and they look for you to bail them out of all of their bad decisions. So again, I appreciate the fact that he felt the need to share this. I think it's a very important thing to get learning and experience from, because I do believe in learning from other people's mistakes. But this is a cautionary tale for you guys to never let yourself be seen as that guy who everybody can come and just kind of nibble off of, right? And a lot of this might come from a deep seated desire for Anton to be liked and loved and accepted. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it has to be reciprocal. You cannot be the only one expressing the love and the support, and no one else is there to do it for you, because that's what's going to allow you to get to the point where you're exhausted like you are now. So let me see a little bit more that he has to say, and then we're going to wrap up. Let's go.
All of that stuff. But sometimes, every once in a while, I would say once it maybe twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year if it's a real interesting year. I have these things where I kind of break down a little bit, or I have this moment, or maybe something happens in my life that causes me to reflect, and I'll be thinking to myself, like, damn, I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, I may be tired from working, but that yields fruit. But I don't want to work for you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep working for other people. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for temporary circumstances. But man, I almost think that people are okay with taking risks and losing because they know that I'm a safety net in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's why I just said you're big government. You are just like, what you're doing is stepping in and being that you're creating the too big to fail thing, just like with the bank bailouts and everything that happened. You're giving people a chance to take risks, gamble, do stuff that they would never do with their own money. And Anton is a big proponent of not funding properties and things like that with other people's money, and I kind of disagree with him on that, but that's a discussion we can have at another date, Anton, because I know he he probably seen my video with that I showed with some of my properties, and we had that debate before about financing and all that, but we could have a discussion later, Anton. But you are, like I said, that which you despise, in the sense that um, people are using you as big government, or as that lender of last resort that they can hitch their wagon to as they make all these crazy ass decisions. So at the end of the day, that's where it's going to come down to, and he just has to realize that, and make the appropriate actions. And I know it's going to be tough for him to do it, because he does have a good heart. But let's get a little bit more.
Saying, like, and it's not just me, it's people out there all over. It may very much be you. It may very much be you. You may be the successful one in your family. A lot of times we call that the black tax. The black tax a lot of times is when
Yep, there is a black tax. Let's go.
you are successful, but then you got to feel guilty for it because somehow, some way, you got to come back to the hood and contribute to everybody else. Man, I'm so tired of that shit, bro.
Now, Anton, you understand why I don't live in America. You understand why I had to leave the shy, because I was, even the Dark Knight, who I am in the shy. I was that guy doing a lot of stuff, helping people. But even the Dark Knight got to retire, because I'm looking. I got to that point because, like I said, I know exactly what he's going through. Been there, done that. And my decision was to uproot and get away from it. And sometimes, bro, you just gotta feed people with a long spoon. And one day you're gonna realize that, and hopefully you'll be able to do that before it's too late. But anyway, I'm not gonna hold this any longer. I think you guys get the point. Salute to Anton. I'm gonna try to get through there. I know, like I said, they kind of miss me when I ain't over there at the Bag Chasers, but I still rock with y'all over there. I'll try to get some time to come through. And again, I'm probably gonna tag him on this video, so hopefully he'll listen to it and get some information from it. And again, Anton, you want to chop it up sometime, just shoot me a line. But other than that, Night Riders. I hope you learned something from this as well. And thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll talk to you guys later. I'm out.